All right, so we're talking about the decay, or the
Welcome.
decline?
That's a perfect intro right there, his question. Welcome to our video where I don't know what it's titled. It's titled something along the lines of Nate and Keith's thoughts on the decline of, I guess, movies. I can just say 21st, in the 21st century. So
Uh,
we're exactly the
is it,
same
it?
age. We're over 18. What?
Are we doing just movies in general or specific genre?
I'd
Any,
say whatever.
anything's game. Okay.
There's
All right.
no rules on this channel,
All
and
right. No rules.
just I was going to say something, but I won't say it. But I was going to say the only rule would be, but I can't say it because the way the world is. But
Ah.
yeah, so we're the same age. We're over 20. We're both over 20, the
Yep.
exact same age, and we enjoyed. I can't speak for you, but I think you and I enjoyed movies that were being made in the 80s and the 90s
For
and
sure.
stuff like that. And
For sure.
let me just give my take on this. For me, I kind of started to notice a decline in movies, kind of like maybe in the years following like the advent of CGI. Like so many movies were just putting CGI in movies, just almost seemingly just to have CG in movies. And so for me, the decline kind of almost started in the mid to late 90s, where
Okay.
I mean, I liked a lot of movies still at that time, but for me that was kind of the decline of movies, and that'll just be my starting sentence. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I kind of see that, but um, I don't know, because I think of movies like The Abyss and Jurassic Park and T2.
Well, I think those use CG perfectly.
Yeah.
I'm thinking movies like Mortal Kombat, where you've got CG that if you look at it now,
Okay,
it's
gotcha.
so
It,
laughable.
it looks cartoonish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, no, they relied too much on it, and I think they tried to sell stuff more, because they back then they would say in CGI, all this stuff. And
It seemed like, yeah, they were putting it in movies just so they could say there was CG in the movie, even if it looked like shit.
I think especially then into like the horror genre, they even started doing it in that, which to me I didn't like, because you know any horror person's probably a fan of Tom Savini's work,
I,
and the effects that he contributed to different movies.
Agreed. I think some of the first, I'll get your take on this, some of the first CG gore I can ever remember seeing for me, and we'll see if you can think of some earlier, was 2003 Wrong Turn. I think that's some of the first CGI gore I can think of seeing. Can you think of anything that came before it? I
Dawn
mean,
of the Dead remake,
well, that was right around the same time though. That was
like
03.
90.
That was 03. Huh?
Was it 98 or something like that?
The remake was 03.
Okay, but yeah, that's where I noticed
So
it.
so I guess
I don't think I saw Run Turn then.
you hadn't seen it at the time. Okay, I think you and I met and saw Dawn of the Dead in the theater together. So
Probably.
I think you were late, which is common for back then. Maybe now too. Still, I don't know. But anyway, so 2003 is kind of the first year we can both remember seeing like what's so common now, the CGI gore, which I agree, we grew up with things like Tom Savini effects from the 70s and 80s,
Right.
and like on-camera
Or
gore,
like,
and that was just that,
Corman.
Roger Corman
Roger
movies.
Corman.
Well, everyone was doing it for real. I mean, in the 70s and the
Stan
80s.
Winston.
Yeah, right, Stan Winston. These people that were doing real life physical, effects,
Right.
animatronic effects. K and B also. All these people from the 80s
I
and
mean,
stuff that were doing
I mean,
on
sure,
camera.
you got hokey stuff with it, but more often than not, like American Werewolf in London, for example, the effects in there.
That's a good point, and that
Yeah.
brings me to American. I can remember you and I sitting around right here in 2001 talking about American Werewolf in Paris, and both of
Yeah.
us just being like, ah, God,
Right? Yeah.
who the hell wants to see it with CGI werewolves? And I can't speak for you, but I've still never seen it.
I don't remember it. If I did see it.
Oh, you did see it, but you don't remember it.
I mean, the only werewolf kind of ones I saw that I can remember of recent times would have been the Underworld movies.
Uh-huh.
I'm not too much a fan of that.
Okay, yeah, I've never been a big fan of those myself,
No.
but that was, even though that it's kind of like American Werewolf in Paris. I mean, I
Right.
haven't seen it, so I can't remember, but I mean, wasn't necessarily CG gore. It was like CG werewolves. Just that idea. That was kind of the beginning of it for me, like 2001 CG werewolves, because I think back to like decade. Or no, it was 2 decades prior with American Werewolf in London. It's just like, even still by today's standards, I bet if you showed a kid that, now, they'd be like, "Oh my God, the transformation!" Even now,
Oh yeah,
because it's so well done. I'm
I'd
talking
be
about.
curious. I'll have to test that out.
I was gonna say you probably haven't shown them yet, but
No, well, maybe we'll test it
record it when you do. No, just kidding.
out. But yeah, that they started doing. That's where I noticed a lot where I didn't like CG was in a lot of these horror movies with zombies or whatever. And they're and I think it just became, at first CGI was really expensive, and I'm sure it still is. But I think almost they wanted to make it that now it's actually cheaper to do than hiring a makeup person.
Right. Yeah, it was probably more expensive at the beginning, and then over the years, it got less and less expensive,
Yeah.
and then you start putting your makeup people and actual practical effects people out of work.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know Tom Savini had or has a school. It's in New York. I don't know if it's still going now. Who knows?
Well, yeah, I know. I can't imagine why. A lot of people. I mean, there's still makeup and stuff. So I guess if
Right.
people learn that,
Yeah,
that's still around. It's not like
Yeah.
they're putting necessarily makeup on people's faces with computer generation yet.
but I think effects were kind of a decline in my view.
Yeah, for me, the 21st century was kind of just the beginning of like.
Yeah, and it's really I battle with myself. Like, is it me just stuck in my ways and getting old?
Exactly. Or is it the shit getting stupider?
Right? Is it just getting worse?
And what's your decision at the end of the day?
To be fair, I want to say it's probably somewhere in the middle.
Exactly. I think it's a bit of both, but I would probably tip the scale a little more to just stuff is getting stupider. If I had to tip one or the other, I'd say
Yeah,
stuff's getting stupider and just
it's more nonsensical. Like, I could deal with a nonsensical horror movie where they actually were trying to make something. An example I would have, I don't know, what's a nonsensical horror movie where they actually tried to do something.
I don't know. Just pick a nonsensical horror movie and there you go.
Rana,
Well, a lot of people aren't going to know what that is, but
Legends of Shadow Lake, check it out. But it like that. It's a run-of-your-mill movie with no origin explanation really of what's going on or really why too much. But it works for what it is, and they didn't try to pretend it was anything else.
well,
So-
yeah, Bill Rebane, the
Yeah.
director, was trying to, do a callback to the monster movies of the 50s,
Right.
Creature, the Black
Yeah.
Lagoon, stuff
Yeah.
like that. He's
Yeah.
like, well, let's take that into the 80s and see how it works.
But a lot of these movies now, I think the reason I don't like a lot of not even just horror, but whether it be comedy, it seems they rely more on shock value, vulgarity kind of stuff than anything else to me. That's
Yeah.
what I saw a decline in stuff. Is that you have. 'Cause
You mean
I
just-
like comedies too. I like a lot of different comedies.
Oh, so now we're kind of thinking of the nasty vulgarity of comedies now, like compared to growing up in the 80s with John
Right.
Candy.
Well, yeah, that and just like the fact in like the horror movies, right? A lot of them turned into plastic people, what I call them.
Oh, you mean people just
They just didn't look-
Hollywood?
Yeah, they didn't look realistic anymore. Believable characters
Okay.
to me.
You mean the people they put in movies?
Yeah. Well, yeah, like for how they would have them play the characters, like
Cast based on looks, not acting chops.
right, and it's a horror movie where everyone's, their makeup is perfect and everything else, and they don't look like something
Someone
you
next
see
door.
walking down the street.
Their breasts are fake.
That too.
Do we want to talk at all about the kind of the death of film and the takeover of like digital?
Yeah, go ahead.
Digital? Okay, well,
I'm
personally.
I'm sure you have a stronger opinion of that.
Oh, okay. Well,
Maybe.
it's interesting to hear your point of view too. Obviously, this is a biased thing because growing up with movies, they were all shot on film. From the beginning of movies up until whenever. I mean, George Lucas was kind of one of the first ones to actually shoot a major motion picture digitally in a lot of ways with
Yeah.
Episode 2 and stuff. So he kind of started the ball rolling, and I didn't feel too threatened by that at the time, but unfortunately it's what we've seen since then, which is like 20 years later now, is the majority of movies, unless it's like Quentin Tarantino, Christopher Nolan, one of these kind of filmmakers, the majority of movies are shooting digital. And honestly, you know, that's another aspect or another reason why I'm not so keen on movies these days, is because I think there's, you know, movies have kind of lost the soul for me, that the movies now kind of don't have souls like they used to. And the leaving film behind and going to digital, I mean, it happened before that, but that just exacerbates it, if I can try to say a bit large word. It's just, so it's like, for me, the soul was already kind of going out of movies even while they were shooting on film. But then you stop shooting on film and you shoot digital, and it's just like soul's gone just double the amount. So that's my initial thought.
Yeah, I think everything on digital now, I think it has its advantages and disadvantages. Like I was, I was telling Nate a bit ago that they have editing programs on the computer now.
That we would have killed for as teenagers,
Right.
and they're free.
They're free and really super easy to use. And
But-
obviously there's better ones that
but
cost
you
a
can
lot of money. But
shoot film and edit digital.
you could, yes, you can totally do that. And I think, I don't know, there's just something about a movie on actual film that seems a bit more personal.
Yeah,
And with digital, it just seems too easy and convenient.
like anyone can do it,
Anyone could do it. I guess.
except me.
Right. But yeah, I think it definitely loses some of the,
Magic.
the impact. Yeah.
You know, there are some digital movies that, like, if you grade it correctly or stuff, that
Right.
that I think are okay, look okay. But I think most of them don't even, if they put some effort in to try to make it look maybe more filmish. But a lot of movies now, they don't even try to look filmish, which is like, have you seen It Comes at Night? That's one of the best digital looking films.
I don't know if I've seen it.
He might have not have seen it, but I reviewed it on the channel, I think. It Comes at Night. It's kind of a creepy kind of a, movie. It's not a big gore fest or anything. Just
Right.
kind of cool mood and stuff like that. Kind of creepy movie, but that's a digitally shot movie that I think looks pretty good. And like you were saying earlier, there's advantages to it, and one of the advantages for that movie is just being able to shoot at lower light, so you can have characters, carry a lantern through a scene and light the scene
Right.
just with the lantern. You wouldn't be able to do that in the old days with the slower film stock and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's one of the advantages to shooting digital. Also, I would imagine it's less expensive. You don't have all this film to develop and buy and process and all this and that. But there's things you lose, in my opinion, at the same time, like the soul, like I spoke of earlier. And it's just so fun to watch, even if it's a fresh kind of new Blu-ray edition of an older movie. It's still like Hills Have Eyes or Last House on the Left.
Yeah.
Like, even though it's on Blu-ray, you still like that beautiful kind of 16 millimeter look, and
Yeah, you can still tell it's film.
chainsaw.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you actually raised a good point when you were kind of talking about, for you, one of the main reasons that you kind of agree with the decline of movies in this century is kind of, if I understood correctly, you're kind of talking about comedies now and how they just go for the nasty shock factor
Yeah.
versus just like genuine kind of comedy. And I agree. I don't like. And I've coined a term for like 21st century comedy movies. Most of them. I mean, I don't really watch many current movies, but I call them corporate comedies because they look like they're made by. That's another thing. A lot of these movies that they're putting out now, it's like, is AI like writing, directing, and editing these movies? Because they all, even though they're made by like different people, supposedly,
They seem the same.
they all look like the same,
Yeah.
like, person or AI is making them.
Yeah. Yeah. Like to me, you'll never have a John Candy comedy again.
Oh God,
It's gone. That's done.
John Candy's gone, and so is the John Candy. I love Summer Rental. Have you
I just watched that.
You just watched it?
Yeah.
I just watched it too. It'd be crazy if we watched it on the same day.
It'd be
But
funny.
John Candy Summer Rental. I almost, you know what? I almost taught my grandma. I was at my grandma's house being babysat, and we were in the basement. We were looking at the paper, the show times. I almost got her to take me to see Summer Rental, but she didn't. And I almost saw it in the theater, but I
Oh,
didn't.
that would have been great.
Wouldn't that have been
Yeah.
great? My grandma would have loved the. What do you think of these?
Oh, God.
She would have.
Wow.
Oh. Cover my eyes, but that would have been cool to have been able to see
But
it.
see,
in the
they didn't even
theater.
show you them in the movie.
I actually, me being me, when I watched it recently, I frame by framed it. There's a frame of her nipples,
Oh.
one frame, and
One
then they
frame.
cut. So
But it wasn't the crew just sitting there.
right. But anyway, absolutely, like comedy back in the day, you know, John Candy, what Chevy Chase. God, we sound old, but
Yeah. Chevy Chase might be a jerk, but he filmed some good movies.
he filmed some funny movies, didn't he? My dad was a big fan of him.
So
Did
was
you know
mine.
that? Oh,
Mine was too.
both of our dads were a fan
My
of
dad,
Chevy.
yeah, he used to imitate him.
Oh, okay. Anything you can remember?
Yeah, we were driving through some place on the highway, and there was actually we were along the Mississippi, and he started doing the Mighty Mississippi, the old river, you know, deep river. He started doing that, and then he would. Well, it was him. It was Chevy Chase, and not a real comedy person, but Anthony Perkins.
Oh,
My
okay.
dad loved.
So would he imitate any of him?
Oh yeah, he'd with Anthony Perkins, he'd always do the Norman Bates stuff. He'd be talking to his mom, my grandma. Oh God, mother, what do you want? And, he'd say, Keith, the boy's best friend is his mother. Okay.
What'd you think of that? To
Well,
each their own.
He took me to Psycho 3, so
Oh, you saw it in the theater?
with him, yeah.
Oh man.
Yes.
What was the feel? Was there how many people would you say? How full was the theater?
It was pretty good. I mean, I remember I want to say he lied to people.
About your age?
No, I think he lied to. Maybe not lied, but he didn't tell like
The truth.
my stepmom or my
Oh,
sister.
where you were going?
I think he drove like an hour to some theater. I don't know why we went to. Maybe that's where it was at.
Only place it was.
I mean, I don't know, but I mean, I just know we went to see it, and then he got we went and he got my haircut, like Norman Bates' spiky kind of haircut in the third movie, and he had me going upstairs saying lines to my grandma, and that he got in trouble for that. I do remember that.
Can you remember any of what the audience thought of any of the scenes? Like the beginning was quite shocking with the nun coming down.
You
don't remember?
I don't remember. I didn't, because like I was, when was it? In the 86?
Yeah, you would have been like.
So I was
9.
9 when it came out, probably. So I mean, I probably wasn't looking at the audience much.
Well, yeah, right. I mean, you could hear them, but
Yeah. I mean, there's people who I remember people got screamy at the. Is it the girl he kills in the phone booth that
Oh, yeah.
gets kicked out of the room?
Yeah, well, that's another scene. It's like,
Yeah.
the sex scene. Is your dad like, here, son, get
Yeah,
an
with the
eyeful.
ice machine, and I'm like, it was almost kind of like when we were watching Silent Night with your dad.
Oh yeah, you kind of just.
The sex scene comes on and he goes away.
No, we went away.
Well, first you did. I think
Yeah,
it was first
I-
you,
I
and then I like, oh, what's he doing?
And he went away. And you just leave my
Your dad
dad.
just like that. So I was like, there was some of that going on in the Psycho 3.
Did you leave your seat or
No,
you
I
wanted
mean I was
to?
9.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad was kind of like, oh,
What do you think,
watch
son?
out for this. You're not getting too scared. I didn't know. I don't care.
Yeah, I remember that scene is even creepy as an adult though, with the guy, because the guy's naked. What's his name? Lawnmower Man, Jeff Fahey.
Yeah.
He's naked with the lamps.
Yeah, I forget his name in the movie, but
Oh, his character?
yeah.
So
Whatever,
do I.
Jeff Fahey, yeah. Yeah, no, but I'm particularly remembering when because he hides the one girl in the ice chest
Oh, yeah.
for the ice,
Going to
the ice
get ice.
machine. And then when it's all pouring outside and he's trying to clean everything up, he takes her out and he starts kissing her. And that's really the first inkling you get of that they meant Norman Bates to kind of be a necrophiliac type person. But they did it tastefully. In a normal in a movie now, you would see the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole movie would
There'd be
be.
nothing to mystery.
Oh
You
man.
know? Nothing left to the imagination, I should say. So
But yeah, maybe I don't know if we got sidetracked in this
Probably.
video. We probably did, but I think we got a lot of good points in
Yeah.
there as well. That's kind of our basic idea or basic thoughts on just the decline of movies in the 21st century. Not to mention we didn't even mention remakes,
yeah,
but
stop
I
the
mean
remakes.
remakes. I think the remake thing has kind of turned into the sequel to the movie that's 40 years old thing.
Well, it's people need to get creative again.
Good luck.
You know, like yeah, unless you have billions and millions of dollars, well, not even that, but you know, you can't. You know, everyone thinks they've had ideas for like what a good sequel or what a good prequel might be for something. And I think half the time the people with the bad ideas are the ones that end up getting the funding to do these things.
That's how it seems. It's
It's-
like there's I hear there's more kind of creative movies being made and just kind of published on YouTube than
Yeah.
Hollywood. It's
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
like with the Friday the
Yeah.
13th fan films.
Yeah,
It's like those are better than the last official Friday the 13th was.
yeah, yeah. And you know, on one hand, that might be where the future is going. Perhaps we don't know.
I don't know if you can hear us with the plane, but we
Yeah.
do our best.
Yeah, it's unscripted out here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know, kind of like these found footage type films were a fad with like the Blair Witch and that whole thing.
And even Halloween got in on it.
Yeah,
With Resurrection.
yeah. Oh, they did.
You forgot.
I know, but
I don't blame you.
yeah, after Halloween 6, I was good with.
After that, right? Yeah.
The Halloweens with the new Loomis is what I think of that. Yeah, because they didn't put him in the new Carpenter ones.
Well, don't you remember the beginning of Halloween Kills? Is briefly.
Well, they did. They CG'd him, right?
Well, I don't
Or-
think it was.
or
No, they
was
just
it
got
just-
a double. It was just the guy that
Was
kind
it?
of looked like him. They didn't CG him.
Okay.
It was just some
It
guy.
I do remember that, and that was good. I was happy.
As he killed again.
Right.
Just
But
showing him briefly.
no, I'm talking about the Dr. Loomis they put in the Rob Zombie thing.
Right. He's talking about Rob Zombie.
No.
So I don't know. Maybe we covered it with our basic thoughts on why we feel movies have declined in the 21st century. There's probably other reasons. It's hard to think of everything on the spot, right in front of the camera lens. Kind of ironic how I'm complaining about digitally shot movies
Yeah,
while
here we
I'm
are.
filming the review digitally, but
Maybe next time we'll have to see the revival of movies. What that could look like.
do a video on what the.
How would it be revived?
Well, I think
where we don't think it's
I
declining.
think you got to go to bed and dream. I think, and then that's the only way it's going to be revived. But I like your
Yeah.
positive attitude, though.
Something, yeah. It's gotta be something.
Well, what do you think? Set our piece for this?
Yeah, I think we set our piece for this
topic.
this topic. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and possibly we'll see you again. Well, we got to film a reaction.
Reaction, yeah.
Him reacting to the 30-year-old video store tour.
Yep.
Catch that video and catch you next time.
All right.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, it's so much easier now.
Oh God. Like I got a free.
Oh.
I got a free.
Oh.
Oh.